So here's a video of me pretty much talking about my history with gaming and my experiences and some of the games that I have played in my life. So I guess to kind of start off, for anybody seeing this channel, this is a gaming channel I pretty much made to pass the time. Nothing serious, not really trying to do anything serious with it like that. And this ain't the first time I tried to do something with gaming. It's not the first. I tried to do something with it on my ChEDDErTarY channel, and I lost a lot of subscribers because of that, because a lot of people just did not want to see me do gaming. And that channel was pretty much known for its drama, like my older channel, which was called Jazzy931 Cheddar, which is now known as ChEDDErTarY 931, which is my political awoke channel, which is pretty much with politics and stuff in the streets, and focuses on my point of view on things as a mixed black man in America. And from that, with the Jazzy Entertainment channel, it had like pickup videos, topics, music that I did, documentaries, DIYs, ghost hunting, exploring videos that I did, and of course some of the games. So again, it just wasn't the first time, and once I took a break from that channel, I uploaded new content on there, try to get it built back up. And I think where I'm at with both of those channels is that pretty much done with them. I had them since 2011, 2012. Yeah. Then the next platform I tried to do gaming on was Twitch, but I said to myself, this ain't it. This wasn't for me with Twitch. Only time that I watch anything to do with Twitch is to watch something called the Bobo, which is an after prison broadcast. That's it. Because I used to be a felon back in the day, so I can relate to stuff like that. I say the next obvious platform, which a lot of people may not be able to do now, is uploading gameplay to Facebook. Now, Facebook, I had a much more higher chance, and I did, when it came to doing pre-uploads with gameplays on there. The problem with that is it's the same thing with YouTube. A lot of games now that are uploaded are considered copyright. We're not just talking about the music. We're talking about the name of the title, the character, the movements, the companies. And it's going to get pretty much hit. On my old Facebook page, I lost all of that stuff because I had people, reporting my stuff, stealing my videos, and it pissed me off, it really did. So I had to start a new one. And then, which brings me to, ChEDDErTarY Gaming, something just to pass the time and nothing too serious. Then I said, what can be the best thing for me to do on this channel? Well, to do live streams, right? Now me, some people do it during the day, some people do it at night. I figured the best time for me would be at nighttime. I've been streaming a lot of Batman stuff. You know, I'm a huge Batman fan. I know right now I'm streaming Batman Season 2 of Enemy Within. I'm going to do part 2 of that sometime this week. And then I got some older games that will be pre-uploaded to this channel. And then vlogging, video game talk, like these type of videos as well, that are pre-uploaded. So that's kind of like a little bit brief history of how I tried to start something with gaming. Now, my history growing up with video gaming started off with the Nintendo back in the day. The Nintendo, you know, we had like a gray box, which was pretty much what it was. It was a gray box with like one black stripe on it. And you had square, long controllers that were about the size of a small Android phone, if you will. And the games came in cartridges. You know, we didn't have digital downloads or disc back then. So we had cartridges that were pretty huge, pretty big, pretty bulky. And a lot of the adults either played Dr. Mario, Tetris, and some of them had competitions with a game called High Speed, which was a pinball game back then. My favorite game for the Nintendo was this space shooter game that I personally enjoyed. Now, back then, you just couldn't go out and buy a system, because the systems back then were considered expensive like they are today. So we used to have something called video rental shops, right? Within these video rental shops, we would go and, you know, rent a game system until we had enough money to afford the system, either at like a Walmart or if the video rental store put one up for sale. You know, we would buy it there for half the price. My next system in my life would be the Sega. I love the Sega. And I still have my Sega till this day. It is packed up. The sound is going out on it, but it still works. I still have all my Sega games till this day as well. You know, I used to rent a lot of Sega games, and one day when we went somewhere, you know, my uncle gave me his Sega, a couple of games for it, you know. Then one day when I came home from school, you know, Mom, even though, you know, sometimes she can be a decent person, sometimes she ain't. You know, the relationship's a bit rocky till this day, but I already talked about that in a video called How Drugs Ruled My Life. But one day, when I come home from school, she surprised me with a shit ton of games that she bought at the video rental shop for the Sega. A lot of good ones, like some of my favorites was Toy Story, a couple of Batman games, the first Mortal Kombat, this driving police game where you would stop bad guys in the cars by ramming them and stuff. And then there was this one creepy game with like Donald Duck and Mickey Mouse. It was like a really creepy ass game, but it was like really good too. So there's that. I say the next system, it's one that I never owned, but it's one that I played a lot. So I'd have this, little white friend of mine. It's called Eric, right? Really good person. His family is really nice. They were church-going people. He stayed over at his grandmother's a lot. His older brother would sometimes pop up every now and then. And we would go and play the Nintendo 64. And let me tell you something, the Nintendo 64 has some really great games, man, like Star Fox, Super Smash Brothers, Pokemon. To me, my favorites were the 007 games back then for it. Like, I love 007 games. Not so big on the movies, though. I like Die Another Day. That's about the only movie I like from 007. But I love the games for it. So, I'm thinking about actually investing. Into a Nintendo 64. They're not that much over at Game Exchange, maybe like $45 at the most. And the games are pretty cheap too. But, there's that. Say the next system for me. Well, today's standards, it's considered a system. Back in my day, it was not considered any type of system. Now, you guys got to remember who see this video, I'm 30 years old, so times have changed a lot when I was growing up till now. So I want to talk about how things were in my time with PC and online gaming. So with PC gaming, like, I know they got computer towers nowadays that are considered consoles because of gaming on them. Well, back in my day, they weren't. We had these big, bulky computer monitors, right? That were the size of like a big ass TV. And they were like egg beige color. So they only came in one color, it was like egg beige. We had Dell, Gateway, Comcast, and Apple back then. And the towers, they were really big too. So, we didn't have CD-ROMs back then yet. We had something called floppy disk back then. And we played a lot of the games on floppy disk. And then once you got done with the first floppy disk, you had to put the second floppy disk in, because back then, floppy disk for something big like that only held to like 128 gigabytes, right? And sometimes those 128 gigabytes was considered like maybe 20 different floppy disks. I know we had long floppy disks, like really long see-through ones that we would put into the machine. That would be games as well, and each time that we would get through with the game, it would come on out, and it would make like this old printing noise type of deal, if you will, like type of thing. So I remember that, I remember artists, used to put music on floppy disk back then too. So to me, PC gaming, I've been there, I did that, and I remember the days when things was going on CD-ROM, right? I think the first CD-ROM game that I've ever played was, I think it was Need for Speed Underground 1, the very first one for the PC. Very popular at its time. When it comes to online gaming, I know today's online gaming is through things like Twitch and YouTube, and throughout some of the updated consoles like the PS4 and the Xbox One. Online gaming back in my day was nothing like that. It wasn't live. You didn't get to play with other players. Online gaming, we had something called, I think, Shockwave or Shock Flash, just in order to play a game online. And we had gaming websites, right? The only thing that we had close enough to chatting with people was chat rooms back then. So you guys got to remember, I was born before Cartoon Network was even a thing. So I remember something called weekend cartoons or Saturday morning cartoons before Cartoon Network ever became a thing, before it was even a station. Back then we had the last stages of Hanna-Barbera Company, the Hanna-Barbera Network. And they were trying to get into the new cartoons, right? There's a whole history on that if you guys want to look that up. But I remember when Cartoon Network website first began, right? It wasn't a full screen website. It's like imagine taking a piece of paper, right? Fold that piece of paper where it's a bit long, and then put it towards a big screen, anything. And that's what the size of the website was, because you had most of the background desktop showing the most. And I remember with the older first Cartoon Network website, it had a gray border, it had a washed out yellow background, and it had a couple of advertisements and a few games. One of the first games that I think they had on there that I truly fell in love with was from a show called ChEDDErTarY. So ChEDDErTarY game was pretty fun. I forget what it was about, but it was really great. After the years went on, the website developed even more. You could watch trailers, you could watch full shows back then, for free. And some of the games on there that they had online that you could play, from Batman, Justice League, Static Shock, Ed, Edd n Eddy, Dexter's Laboratory, Powerpuff Girls. You even had a joint game with all different type of cartoon characters racing. You even had some movie game specials, on there. You had Dragon Ball Z, you had Gundam. And it was really great, until Cartoon Network went downhill to shit. Along with the website, now they have hardly any games on there, and I haven't been on that Cartoon Network site in so long. I say another internet games that were considered online at the time. ABC Arcade. I don't know if they still exist or not. God, I haven't been on that website in a long time. And then we had this Lego website. It had this RC Lego racer game on there. It was I thought it was dope, Bionicle. And I think another, going back to another PC game, our version of World of Tanks was black background mostly, and you had green lines that were mainly 2D vision, and you would shoot meteors in space, pretty much, which was a great game. And I was so good at that game too. So, that's a little bit of history when it comes to, my version of PC gaming and online gaming back in the day. Another system that I know they're trying to bring back, a lot of you guys may be familiar with the 1-Up or the arcade 1-Up. Well, we had arcade games, but around the time when I was still growing and everything, they were actually coming out of style. They had a little bit of them. I played from Pac-Man to Mortal Kombat pretty much. And it took a lot of damn quarters. A lot of money. I say the next console would be the PS5. No, not the PS5. Why did I say the PS5? The PlayStation 1. The PlayStation 1. The PlayStation 1 had some confusing but good games on there. And some of those games were really ahead of their time. Like, just ahead of their time. And just wow. Like, even the graphics were so much ahead of their time that they shouldn't even been exist. Some of my favorite games, two of them, if I were to really name them, would be, see, now one of them I can't really pronounce. It starts with a G, but it's based off an arcade game. It's based off an arcade game. The next one is called Children of the Atom. Children of the Atom. X-Men Children of the Atom. I miss that game so much because that game ended up getting fucking destroyed. I was so pissed about that shit till this day. So I had this box downstairs, right? I wasn't allowed to go downstairs at the time. But this shit was done intentionally, and I've done a whole backstory on some things. But they unloaded the fucking pipes onto my box. Not theirs, but mine's. And just fucking destroyed it. Like, I had shit worth of value in that box, man. If I were to try to get that game now, it would be impossible because that game out of box is worth $5,000, right? $500, right? Okay, check this out. If in box, you're looking at $10,000 to $25,000. That's how good and popular that game is. No one in their right minds ever would have thought that game would have been worth that much money because it was an X-Men style game back then. And it's amazing, right, that it's worth that much. But that's just some of the few games for the PS1 back then that I personally enjoyed myself. The PS2, the PS2 had a lot of great classics, man. A lot of great classics. Now, before I get into the PS2, I know they re-released the Nintendo, the Sega, and the PS1 with preloaded games on there that are like built smaller. There were no classic games on those re-releases at all. Just a waste of money. Hell, that shit is so fucking bad that you can go to Walgreens, get the Sega version for like $30. I hope they don't do the same thing to the PS2. However, going from that, talking to the PS2, PS2 was a rental. Now, some video companies were still renting consoles. Some you had to buy through the company itself to rent it. And that's when the term rent to own really came into play. So I was renting to own it. By the time I owned it, I got it. But then I had to get it sent in to get it fixed. Because, they're not going to give you new ones. You got to get it fixed, right? So, got it sent in. Got it, came back. Jeez. Some of the most popular games, oh man. 57 Bulletproof, Batman of Vengeance, Grand Theft Auto Vice City, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, Defender, Ed, Edd n Eddy, Scarface, Red Dead Revolver, Scooby-Doo, Punisher, Hulk, Midnight Club 3 Dove Edition, ATV Off-Road, just to name a few of them that were definitely considered big hits back then. And if they ever release that with preloaded games, I hope they don't, because they're going to screw it up. They're going to screw up a classic. So the next console for me after that would be the Xbox 360. I didn't go for the PS3. The PS3 had too many problems where it caused crashes and a lot of fires and house fires. So the PS3 had a lot of really bad technical issues that were reported, if y'all ever look that up. For me, it would be the Xbox 360. Xbox 360, for that company, to me, it's its highest selling console ever. They're never going to get back that same feeling like they had with the Xbox One X, or even with the new Xbox that's coming out. Because the Xbox 360 was such a really great console. Xbox 360 has so many classic games, and I'm glad I rebought one, because my old one it lasted me for so long. I don't even know where to start with the games on there. I guess 50 Cent Blood on the Sand, Red Dead 1, Mortal Kombat vs. DC Universe, Saints Row 3. Man, what else? Batman Arkham Asylum, Batman Arkham City, Batman Origins, Grand Theft Auto 5, just to say the least, right there. And from there, we go on to the PS4. The PS4 would be such a big hit, even till this day. I don't know if it would be considered a classic yet, but from what it looks like, it pretty much is. Geez, some of the games that I've shown on the first clip of this are my PS4 games that I own. Not very many, but they're ones that I pretty much do endorse. I like the choose your own path and playing through the dialogue games, like the Telltale stuff, from the Batman, Walking Dead, and even Life is Strange and Detroit Become Human type of style games. Like, I enjoy those games. They really did change the game, and I think they're still underestimated type of gameplay. It's not now that type of gameplay was actually experimented with Star Wars: The Old Republic 1 through 2. But a lot of people just did not understand or enjoy that. However, the games that I mentioned are its spiritual predecessors when it comes to gameplay like that. I say the next system in my life, which is going to come to everyone's life soon next year, is going to be the PS5. And to quite be honest with y'all, I'm not going to go out and buy Grand Theft Auto 5 for it, or even Red Dead 2. I already talked about that. I say the best thing for everyone to do, get the console, but wait on whatever games are going to definitely come out. They say it's going to be backwards compatible with some of the PS4 games, but I say the best thing to do is, truly wait and see if that's going to be true or not. Other than that, that's pretty much the, my history and my experiences, with gaming throughout the years, definitely growing up. And where I am now, I don't consider myself a huge gamer. I'm not a huge gamer. I don't really consider myself a gamer, but when it comes to games, I get really picky about it because it has to be something that I'm going to like. And I know a lot of people, when it comes to, I guess, dividing and racism, and I guess judging a book by its cover, then separating you, like me, I'm part black, right? And a lot of people who I grew up with who are more black than me, right, consider me not being black because I don't play sports games. And I always got comments, man, I don't care for the games you play, but man, you got an extra controller, or hey, You don't play sports games, man. You ain't considered black. I didn't grow up on sports, believe it or not. I did not grow up on sports. You know, I didn't choose the sports path. The only sport I like is baseball. I own a couple of baseball games for the Sega. I own one football game and one basketball game for the Sega. That's it. And that's NBA 93. Right before Michael Jordan was about to retire. And then I own Madden NFL 95. That's it. The only other basketball game I ever played in my life, what you guys will see a pre-recording of, it's like these people dressed up like, you know, your famous slasher serial killers from a lot of different horror movies back then playing basketball, which was like really dope, man, because they had special abilities too. Other than that, I just did not grow up on sports. It is what it is, you know. I'm not a sports person. You know, people, you know, see me wear jerseys of different teams, and they always got some shit to say, but I don't know who these people are anyways, who I wear, because I like the color pattern on some jerseys. You know, there's nothing wrong with wearing a jersey and liking the color pattern for it. But yeah, you know, I say one of the next consoles, and this is something I forgot about, was a console called the Data Frog. It's not licensed, but it has 360 games preloaded on it, right? And some of them are from like the older Game Boys, the Atari, and of course the Nintendo and the Sega, right? And a lot of those games, when it came to the Nintendo, and especially the Sega, I have pre-recorded that you guys will see. I got mine for like $100, and you can buy it off eBay for like $73, so like a good $100, which ain't bad. And I do recommend it, because when I played that system and played throughout a lot of those older games, now a lot of them are not going to be English converted when it comes to titles, because it comes from Japan and all that. But a lot of those games, you know, I completely forgot about. Some I didn't. And a lot, you know, I just fell in love with again. So when it comes to gaming, like, I'm an older gamer. You know, more of the, I guess, what is considered retro gaming now, with today's terminology. Not so much into the newer type of stuff. Like, I like some of the newer games we got throughout the years when things were developing, but, you know, not so much. I'm, you know, the type of games that you guys are going to see me play on here are going to be the type of games I pretty much enjoy. The only least favorite I like is like fantasy games. Not my style, but other than that,